All right. It's the NFL Presidential Address. I'm Lawrence Presman. Matt Joseph with us at Mid-Major Matt. And, of course, my partner in crime every day, Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV. And it's Week 10 in the NFL, guys. I hope you're both doing well. Matt, let's start with you. How did your week go?
It was good. There was some good wagers out there. Unfortunately, Monday Night Football didn't go the way I thought it would go. But, hey, we're in Week 10. Crazy to think that we're in Week 10, and we've only had, a couple of postponed games. Hopefully this continues because the season has gone well so far.
I'm glad it has for you. I'm not having a good one. I went 4-5 this past week. I lost my teaser, lost my Monday night play on the under. I had a winning Sunday, won my 5% play. I keep winning those 5% plays, but really not in the zone quite yet. Ralph, how did you go? You had a 3-1 Sunday, right?
Yeah, 3-1. I had a loser on, Arizona. So take it for what it is. It had a four-star teaser, which ended up winning nicely. And so, very happy with it.
Excellent stuff. Want to welcome everybody in. Rara, nice to see you. Shauna, Carl, Chris Hunter, how are you, buddy? Zach, James, Robert M, Jason C, Lamaguina, Kenneth, Sean, nice to see all you guys. Shout out to all vets. Today, as we tape, Wednesday, Veterans Day. I'm part of a military family. I get it. We have a lot of listeners that were in the Navy, Air Force, Army, and Marines. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for your service. Ralph, let's get straight to it, brother. TNA for Week 10 NFL. What do you got?
Prez, let's mention the special first for all the vets. If you just simply reach out and email, I'm looking for the email address. What is it? Service at Wager Talk? Nope, it's...
That's how organized we are today, people.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's support at Wager Talk.
Thank you, Matt. I went brain dead. Support at Wager Talk. If you've been in the service, just email support at Wager Talk, and in the next 48 hours, they'll send you back a coupon for $50 to use for whatever you wish. Again, thank you for your service. Some quick TNA. I know we lost a few minutes on the top of this segment. Road teams, guys. If you like betting road teams on the money line, from 2011 to 2019, road teams in the NFL won 42.6% of the time straight up. We asked how much the home field edge is affected by COVID. This year, away teams, 53.5%. They are 11.1% straight up better than the previous 9 years. There's a lot of instances where the road team has a 4th and 1, gets the team to jump off sides, or a 3rd and 1 gets the opponent to jump off sides. That never happens with a full crowd there. So there are teams taking advantage. And again, a big edge to away teams winning straight up. I mentioned this a few weeks ago, but I want to mention it again. We had a big over week this past week. So the totals keep bouncing back and forth now. Some overs and some unders. Overs are 56% on the year. But Prez, we've mentioned this a few times. When you have a total of 48 or less, the totals are actually 47.1% to the over. They actually are a 52.5% play to the under with a total of 48 or less. If a total is 48.5 or more, they've gone 67% to the over. So don't be afraid to play those high total, guys. They're high for a reason because those teams have those elite offenses or very poor defenses.
Ralph,
a lot of times,
just want to jump in and mention totals this past week, Week 9, anything over 50. Everyone went over the total except the New Orleans Tampa Bay game. And also a shout out to one of our listeners, put up a comment. Ralph and you and I spoke about this recently. Take the highest totals over, the lowest totals under. For the last 3 weeks, it's 9-3 to the over and 6-3 to the under. We told you guys you can Bet them blind, and they will win for you, and they have. Sorry, Ralph, please keep going.
No problem. Just a couple more I want to mention. On Twitter, again, thank you for everyone that's followed me. I topped 20,000 this past week. Excited about that. But people think because I tweet out an angle, I want people to bet that angle. It's not the case. I want people to be aware of the angle. And let me give you one example. The Rams are playing the Seahawks this week. If I said to you the Rams are 1-11 over-under as a favorite, there's going to be people that say, oh, I'm going to bet that game under the total because the Rams are a favorite. How about if I then tell you Seattle is 8-0 over as a dog? Two conflicting angles. So it's as important to find out the angles I tweet out and find out those angles that are against you. Those are almost more important than the angles that are for you. And one system I want to mention, it has had a 73% win mark. It goes back all the way to 2000. It's a play on the Eagles, and it's a play I like. And, you know, we'll see if Matt, the Eagles, make a best bet consensus.
Yeah.
If you are an away favorite of 3 or more, and you are off a win and off a bye. So, Prez mentioned that away. Positive momentum. You had a win before the bye. You're arrested. You are clearly the better team because you are an away favorite now. That record, 43-16, 73% against the spread. And again, that applies to the Philadelphia Eagles this week.
Awesome stuff, Ralph. Hey, guys, Michael Nichols, thanks for the shout-out. The dude, Abby does, nice to see you. Haven't seen your name. Anyone guess what I'm drinking? Give it a go. There's a little help for you. My favorite drink in the entire world, excluding coffee. Boys, let's get to it. Indianapolis heading on the road, playing Tennessee. Line is around +2 to Indy. There's a one in a few books, a 1.5, but the consensus line is +2. 49 is the total. I got a 5% play on this game. You can get it at wagertalk.com. My 5% NFL plays, my 5% football plays have just been absolute gold. So I'm not going to talk about this game. Matt, I'll go to you first. Side, total, props, what do you got?
This is a tough game when you think about it because I like the Colts here, but I don't like Phillip Rivers, and I like the Titans in terms of their offense, but I don't like their defense very much. I think the Titans, they're probably not going to have Adoree Jackson once again this week. They're going to be without Adam Humphries, the slot receiver. Jadeveon Clowney's not 100%. They had some nicks and bruises last game, but Phillip Rivers is a guy I don't like to trust, especially on the road. The other thing that's confounding here is the Jonathan Taylor situation at running back. A couple of weeks ago, he was in there for nearly 60% of the snaps. And then his last two games, 33.8% against the Lions, 30.9% against the Ravens. Jordan Wilkins is getting more touches. Nyheim Hines is getting a ton of touches. It's a very confusing situation. The one prop I did see early on, and I'll do more of my prop research for tonight, is that Trey Burton's total for receptions is 2.5. The injury reports come out already. Jack Doyle is out. Mo Alley-Cox is questionable. Even if he does play, I don't think he gets a ton of snaps. If you look at this Tennessee team, when the teams target the tight ends, they have success. Noah Fant had 5 receptions. James O'Shaughnessy for Jacksonville had 4. Darren Fells had 6. Eric Ebron had 6. Last week, Jimmy Graham had 6. So to me, probably going to be a client play here. I'll give it out here. I think over 2.5 receptions for Trey Burton is definitely going to be on my card here, as I think he gets involved against this Tennessee Titans defense.
Outstanding stuff, Matt. What about a side or a total? Anything you can pass? I look good, by the way. My lighting is excellent today.
I think I'm going to pass. I lean to the under, but it's not something I'm going to play.
Ralph Michaels, what's going on with you? Where are you going in this one?
Well, I mean, you look at the game statistically, and the edges obviously go to the Colts. You've won the stat battle 7 out of 8 times. Only them and the Saints have won the stat battle all but one game, meaning they've outgained their foes. So statistically, obviously, you're plus 71 yards per game. You look at the Titans, and they are minus 10 yards per game. But teams this year are a couple games under 500 after facing a physical Baltimore team. You have a team on the road on a Thursday night on a short week going back the last 8 years, teams that are off a loss playing Thursday on the road with no rest are only 39% against the spread. So if the Colts were playing in a full week of rest, I would like the Colts. But this certainly has me leaning to the Titans, but not enough to be a play.
Hi, Ralph Michaels, Matt Joseph. You're watching the NFL Presidential Address, Week 10, second most watched show on Wager Talk, in the Wager Talk multiverse. Nice to see you, Proud, 111K. Elliot, what's up, bro? We missed you today. Quick question we got from, I know, Ralph. Yeah, Ralph, we're still going to take questions, bro. From 700 ones and a K. Hey, Prez, I have a question for you. How would you guys rate the value of a 10-point super teaser? Bottom line is I love them. I think they're good bets. I make them often. I tend to bring the -9, 10, and 11 down. Some guys like to bring the dogs up, which I understand. But as far as I'm concerned, and you know how much I hate parlays, I got no issue with the 3-team 10-pointer. Real quick, Ralph, yes or no on that bet?
No comment, because I don't play them. I haven't looked at statistically where the edges are, so I will pass making a positive or a negative.
And you, Matt?
I love the sweetheart teasers. I play them, especially in the NFL, because when you get 10 points, that's 2 scores right there, and quite often that makes the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, boys, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. We're assuming Ben plays, -7.5, 47.5 is the total. I like Cincinnati here, guys. I lean on the over, but I like Cincinnati. They're on my short list, and the bottom line is, look, we saw Pittsburgh beat Baltimore 2 weeks ago, but if you watch that game, it was with smoke and mirrors. They could not get any rhythm offensively for the first half of the game. They had no rhythm whatsoever against Dallas, but granted, that was a bad situational spot for them. I don't think Pittsburgh is as good as their record is, that's for sure. I don't even think they're as good as Kansas City's record is, nor Baltimore's, frankly. Cincinnati is an up-and-coming team. Joe Burrow showed himself to be a hell of a quarterback. I think Cincinnati, Teddy talks about this a lot. The back door is going to be wide open, and the Cincinnati offense, down by 10, down by 14, 2 minutes to go with the ball in hand, are capable of marching down that field against a prevent D and getting us the back door. I'm all over Natty. Matt?
I mean, I agree. I think the back door is open with a quarterback like Joe Burrow. I'd like to have Joe Mixon in the lineup. I mean, Gio Bernard was supposed to step in. Joe Mixon's been limited in practice today. Now, that doesn't mean anything. We'll see closer to Friday what his status is. But I would like Cincinnati a whole lot more with Joe Mixon. The thing is, that offensive line is so bad. And 2 weeks ago, Joe Burrow was not sacked against Tennessee, but none of the opening day starters were part of it. They're so banged up on that offensive line that they had no starters and did really well, but Tennessee's pass rush is terrible. The Steelers, meanwhile, have 41 quarterback hurries, 30 sacks, 96 quarterback pressures. I mean, they've got to wake up at some point. So to me, I think that I lean to the Bengals here, but I need Joe Mixon playing.
Ralph?
I understand the concept, but I am not going to get to the window. I look at the Bengals. The Bengals have played 4 road games this year: at Cleveland, at Philadelphia, at Baltimore, at Indianapolis. They've been sacked 3, 8, 7, and 2. So you have been sacked 20 times in 4 games, and you're playing a Steelers team that has 32 sacks on the year and have sacked their foes 11.9% of the time. Those are incredible numbers. The Steelers offense, you probably haven't looked very good. Why? You've only rushed for 94 yards, 48 yards, and 46 yards. Well, guess what? This Bengals rush D is allowing 5.2 yards per carry. I think Pittsburgh gets better. I am not getting to the window on the game. I've been a person that has backed Cincinnati with that back door the last few times. But again, I go back. They've only played one elite team this year. That was Baltimore. They had 205 yards and 3 points against Baltimore.
There you go. So Cincinnati will not make our consensus play. Speaking of which, last week's consensus, Washington, we didn't win. Chargers over, cashed that. Jets under. Yeah, that didn't work. 1-2. We're now 11-12 on our consensus plays. Right in time to heat up. Washington, Detroit. -3.5, -4 for Detroit, 46.5. I've not looked into this game at all. I really don't have much to add. I don't even know who's playing quarterback here. I'm going to be doing my research on that game around 1 a.m. tonight. Matt, do you have something for us?
Yeah, you know who's going to be playing quarterback there, Ralph, for this game? It's the comeback player of the year, Alex Smith. He's going to be under center for that Washington football team. And, I feel so much better about that bet. Hopefully it cashes for us in the end. But I think Washington's live here. I think Alex Smith, with now a full week of prep, because obviously he got backup snaps last week, he'll be the starter for this week against a Lions defense that the last 2 weeks has had 10 men on the field 3 times. That's not even I can't even imagine doing that once. They've done it 3 times already. I talked about it in the preseason. The Corey Unlin hiring at defensive coordinator by Detroit is abysmal. The Eagles secondary is horrendous, and somehow the Lions said, let's have that guy coordinate our defense. Now, look, I know Matt Patricia is probably their actual defensive coordinator, but Corey Unlin is terrible. It is the Adrian Peterson revenge game, but if you remember, not everybody buys into the whole revenge angle. The Le'Veon Bell revenge game against the Jets was a complete dud here, so just watch out for if you just want to jump in on the Adrian Peterson props just because of that, because DeAndre Swift's clearly better than him. The guy I do want to target is J.D. McKissick in this one. I think J.D. McKissick's busy. I lean to Washington here on the road. I think Alex Smith with a full week of practice can do some good work for Washington.
Yeah, and Matty put up some big numbers last week, over 300 yards passing. It was just really those interceptions that did him in. With time and practice and patience, some of those interceptions should go away. Ralph, what do you like?
How about this for a scary statement? Alex Smith may be the more mobile quarterback on the field this week. Stafford limped off that field last week, and, that's why there's questions on him. And if I have a Washington D-line that had 6 sacks against Dallas and 5 sacks against the Giants, and they're playing a team with even a worse rush attack this time against a limped-up Stafford, there's only one way I can go. And, you look at the Washington football team, they may have lost 2 of the last 3 games, but in the stats, they outgained the Giants by 97 yards. They outgained Dallas by 255 yards. They outgained the Giants again by 52 yards. You have a dog that's outgained its last 3 foes. Technically, there's only one way to go.
No, and that's a great point. The game against the Giants, Alex Smith came in, wasn't really expecting to come in. I think there would have been a different outcome had he have known he was going to start. So a great breakdown by both of you guys. Houston and Cleveland here, boys. Browns are on my short list. I've got it down to about 7. Likely going to be a play for me. -3, a total of 51. Look, Houston really struggled. This team is just a nightmare. I thought they would be much better than they are. They almost lost to Jacksonville up a ton late in the game. And Cleveland coming off of a bye. Chubb's coming back. This team is in the playoff hunt. I think they're going to be able to run all day long on this Houston team. It's what's really keeping me off of the over, which I do lean to. Cleveland for me, Matthew.
You know my stance on Cleveland. I actually would have felt better with Cleveland if it was Case Keenum under center than Baker Mayfield. I know that sounds ludicrous. Man. I understand. Well, but Jeff I'm just saying George. Case Keenum's been – I'm just saying I'm not a Baker guy. I'm not a Cleveland guy. I understand it, and I would certainly, if I trusted Cleveland, I would lean to that side. But, this Houston Texans offense is capable of putting up some points in this game. I would lean actually to the over here. I know that you're saying about the running for Cleveland, but I think the Texans do their part. Fun stat from Pro Football Focus last week, over 70% of Deshaun Watson's passing yards came after the catch, which is the single highest game in his career. And you've got the Duke Johnson revenge game here. If David Johnson doesn't play for the Texans, then Duke Johnson gets that number 1 back role for Houston. I can't take the Browns in good conscience So the only thing I would consider here is the over.
Yeah.
Is there ever going to be a time that you like the Browns in the matchup bet, or is it just you're automatic? I mean, that's silly. You can't automatically be 0-16 against them.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Matt.
I'm not 0-16 if I don't play them. If I don't play
Fair.
the game that they're involved in.
All right. Well, okay. I like the over. I may get to the over. The problem is this. Cleveland and Green Bay early forecaster for 20-mile-an-hour winds. We saw Baker really struggle with winds, but those winds against the Raiders were much more than 20 miles per hour, and they were that cold swirling off the lake. So, I look at what Cleveland did against Las Vegas, and I say, should that scare me off? It does scare me a little bit, but again, there are winds. That scares me on the over, again, because of Houston, like you said. But let's look at Houston. Okay, Houston's been outgained in all but one game. Houston has lost to every foe this year except Jacksonville. They're still not a good team. I mean, people think they're 2-2 since Romeo Crennel's been back. Well, okay, yeah, you beat Jacksonville twice. And the only team you've outgained on the year was Jacksonville at home. So I look at Cleveland. You have to remember, you're getting Chubb back. You're getting your best offensive lineman back that runs blocks in Teller. You're getting your tight end back in Hooper. This is a completely different offense that would play the Raiders. You're getting Garrett, who was healthy and could only play half the snaps against the Raiders, so you couldn't get a pass rush. So I do like Cleveland in this spot. One concern, again, the wind is one concern. A second concern is this. We saw Stafford be on the COVID list and not be able to practice and really look shitty without that practice. Remember, Baker Mayfield is on that same list. So he has not been able to practice Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. We'll see what happens with the test tomorrow. He did not test positive. That was just a contact tracing. But again, he still cannot practice with the team.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. Matt Joseph. Let's get into the Jacksonville Green Bay game here. Before I get there, Ralph, just real bottom line, who's the best team in the NFC?
The Rams are number one statistically. They're number one in the NFL in yards per game diff. But what have you done for me lately? We saw how powerful the Saints can be with their beings back that we saw last week. So, one game does not make me say the Saints are the best team, although in my mind, with everyone back and healthy, I think the Saints have the potential to be the best team in the NFC.
It's tough, man. It's got to be between the Saints and Green Bay for me, Matt.
I'm going with Tampa Bay, and hopefully they get rid of Antonio Brown. Who knows? But I think Tampa Bay is the best defense of that group, and so to me, I'll take the team with an offense and a good defense.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's defense, everyone, write it down. Outstanding against the New York Giants and dominant against
that was
Saints.
One game.
And dominant against the Saints.
Okay, because the Packers defense has been really good this year.
Hey, I never said the Packers D was good. I just don't think Tampa Bay. Anyway, Green Bay minus 13.5. I like them, man. I don't play those type of numbers. 50 is the total. Here's a perfect example of where I wouldn't mind a 10-point teaser. I like Green Bay. I can't get to the window on that type of a number. I never do. That's like you, Matt, who refuses to bet Cleveland to your chagrin. I refuse to bet double-digit favorites to my chagrin. With that said, Green Bay or nothing for me, Matt.
This feels like an over to me. And the reason why is I think Jacksonville can do their part. You look at when Aaron Rodgers has a clean pocket, and he has had the clean pocket several games, he just tears people apart. And the Jags have just 8 sacks and are 27th in total pressure. So Rodgers is going to have all day if he wants it. So I think they can score 35 here. The question is, can you get 17 from the Jaguars? And I think we can. I was semi-impressed with what Jake Luton did. Now, look, part of that is the Houston Texans, but it's not like the Packers defense is that much better to me. Luton showed a little bit of mobility, which he totally didn't have in college. He threw for over 300 yards. James Robinson has done some good things out of that backfield. The problem with Jacksonville, when you look at this, is they're on their 6th kicker. so far. McLaughlin's going to be their 6th kicker this season. I think this is an over. I think the Packers can get whatever they want here. Jacksonville's defense is terrible, but I think Jacksonville can put up their fair share of points, so I like the over here.
I mean, Matt, it sounds to me like you like Green Bay and the over if you're thinking 35-17 type score.
Yeah, I just, like you, I'm always hesitant and leery with 13, especially when you're not getting a good defense. Even when you're telling me a bad defense playing prevent towards the end, if the 49ers had a little bit more time, they would have covered that game last week against the Packers, considering what they did.
True that. Ralph, what do you like?
Well, I was working on my database while Matt was talking. Since 2015, that's the year they moved the extra point back. When you have an NFL favorite of 12.5 or more, they have gone 41-25 against the spread, 62.1%. They have covered a 6-point teaser, 75.4%. So just to let you know, 62% double-digit favorites.
And I'm the idiot that won't bet them.
You also have the situation of, now having film on Jake Luton. That's a big deal. Having your first game is one thing where a team doesn't know how to prepare for you like Houston did. Having a defensive coordinator that's now playing a young quarterback, making his first road start with film, only has me playing one play, and that's great. Rodgers, 24. He is only the second quarterback. Tom Brady in 2007 had 24-plus touchdowns in their first 8 games with only 2 interceptions. So 24 more TDs, 2 or fewer interceptions. Tom Brady in 2007, Aaron Rodgers this year. And while we're talking about a D, and we talk about Green Bay not having a great D, they are actually a top 10 defense if you look at what they've done against their opponents, holding them under their average. They held Atlanta to a season low. They held the Tampa Bay to a number 3 low, Minnesota to a number 2 low, and San Fran. And on the season, they are number 9, holding foes to 34 yards under their average.
Awesome stuff, guys. Let's keep rolling through this. Philadelphia, New York Giants. We wanted to talk about this game. Maybe it would become a consensus play. -3.5 at some books, -3 at others. 44 is the total. And, well, I'm going to tell you, Ralph, I like Philly. I like that they're on my short list. It's likely going to be released. You can roll your eyes all you want, Matt. Philly knows how to win. And even though they have struggled, and even though they struggled at the beginning of last year, this is a team that's 2 years removed from the Super Bowl or 3 years removed from the Super Bowl. They've been to the playoffs. There's a veteran coach, a veteran team. And the New York Giants, they are just finding their way. Second best rush defense in football, the New York Giants, which will come into play in this game because it'll force Carson to throw more. And, well, that guy, 1 out of every 5 plays he throws without using his brain. That's my only problem. But I look at these teams and I think they're not even. One team is a veteran team that knows how to win. The other team is just trying to find their way through this season. I don't want the hook, but I'll take Philly -3. You can go now, Matt. You can talk. You don't need to nod your head. Just talk.
I'm just saying, hey, listen, I hope they do win, but I think you guys are both burning your money by doing that. The Eagles, I've watched them every game. They play down to their competition. Let's remember, they should have lost to the Giants. If Evan Ingram catches that pass in Philadelphia, the Giants run the clock out and they win that game. Now, look, this is part of me as being the fan, and I'm trying to stifle it because, look, Miles Sanders is coming back, hopefully. Lane Johnson's coming back. Isaac Seumalo got activated, so maybe he comes in, and Dallas Goedert is there, so the offense should be as healthy as it possibly can. But the defense is still a problem. Evan Ingram is probably still going to hit all his props. He's starting to do more offensively. The Giants have converted 87% of their red zone trips into touchdowns the last 3 games. To me, I can't see it. the Eagles just play down to their competition time and time again. And I actually think that hook does matter. If somehow they win this game, I could see it being by 3. So I think the hook's important here. I can't make this a consensus. It's part fan, part handicapper, but watching this team, they play down to their competition. And this is by far not an easy game, and I could see them losing this outright.
Ralph?
How about this for a stat? The New York Giants are 5-0 against Washington and 2-22 against everybody else, their last 32 games.
Wow.
So 27 games, 5-0 against the Giants, 2-22 against everyone else. Now, obviously, there's a line involved here. So, it's not quite that record. But, I'm going to look at Philadelphia and I'm going to say this. Yes, Carson Wentz threw 13 interceptions the previous 2 years. Yes, he already has 12 interceptions this year with a 12-12 ratio. But if I take their last 5 games as a body of work, they went to San Francisco, they beat them. They lost to the only undefeated team on the road, Pittsburgh. They hosted
They almost
the third
beat Pittsburgh.
They lost to the second or third best team in the AFC, Baltimore, by 2 points. And then you beat 2 division foes the last 5 weeks. There's nothing wrong going 3-2 and losing to Pittsburgh on the road and losing to Baltimore at home. I think they now know, boom, this is still our season to win. It doesn't matter what our record is. We're in first place in the division. If Dallas were 6-1, I don't think I play Philadelphia in this role. But they're not in this role. They're in first place in their division. They know they can basically take leaps and bounds and steps in this division, and you still have Doug Peterson as the coach. You still have the same scenario. So I am on Philly, and I haven't posted it as a play yet, but it's going to be a play for me.
There you go, Matt. I think we're going to make it a consensus play without your permission.
That's fine. Do it. I hope they do. But look, 6 of the last 8 games in this series have been single digits. There's been plenty of times the Giants. I like what Joe Judge is doing. Benching Golden Tate and keeping him home, I think, makes his team realize that he's not taking any crap. So I hope they win, and I hope you guys get the cover. But I think you're lighting your money on fire in this one.
Matt, I can always light my money on fire. Anyway, the best team in the entire NFC with a world-class defense, according to Matt, Tampa Bay, couldn't even get a first down for the first 20 minutes of the game last week on primetime television. Tom Brady needs his wife more than ever. His hand is dead. It's talking back to him. They're going on the road and playing Carolina. No McCaffrey. Announced today, 50.5. I like the over in this game, Matt. I like Carolina, but the over is on my short list. Me and you do not see Tampa Bay the same way, but that's okay. What do you like?
Hey, by the way, just by your convoluted logic, it can't be the Packers is the best. How did the Bucs do against the Packers in that game between the two?
Yeah, that was like 5 million days ago.
It was like 2 weeks ago. I'm just saying, you can't take one game.
Okay. But, Matt, just so you know, and you weren't on the presidential address last year, and Ralph can tell you this, around week 8, I started saying Tom Brady's arm is dead, and it remained dead for the entire rest of the season. The same thing is happening right in front of your very eyes, so open them up and pay attention. With all that said, real quick, everybody, if you need a great podcast to listen to, the GOAT, Tom Brady. It's amazing. Matt, go ahead.
So I'll go back to, and I think we had the same conversation back in week 2 when these teams played the first time. This feels like a game where Mike Evans is going to be busy. Remember, back in week 1, after that game, Bruce Arians said he wanted Evans to get 10 targets every game, and it happened only once. It happened in week 2, and what was the big story that came out of last week? Mike Evans was open. Tom Brady didn't throw the ball. I do love that Bruce Arians openly criticizes Tom Brady. He doesn't care that he's the greatest. He doesn't care that he has more Super Bowl rings than Bruce Arians could ever dream of. I think this is a Mike Evans Evans game. I think the Bucs get healthy here. Look, the Panthers have done some good things, but defensively, the Panthers just aren't good enough. And the Christian McCaffrey injury in the past would have crippled the Panthers, but they're good enough here. I like your over. That's where I'm looking here. I think Tampa Bay can put up 30 on the Panthers, and I think the Panthers can score as well. So to me, this seems like an over here.
Ralph?
Well, for all these years, we talked about betting the Patriots because of Brady and Belichick off a loss. Well, we've seen with the Patriots having lost 4 straight before beating the Jets that maybe it wasn't Belichick off a loss, it was Brady rebounding off a loss. You look at this year. They lost to New Orleans. What did they do? They put up 31 points and beat Carolina by 14. When they lost to Chicago, what did they do? They humiliated the Packers 38-10. On the flip side, we also have to remember Teddy Bridgewater is 26-4 against the spread as an underdog. Carolina, the dog has covered each of the last 7 games this season. Carolina is 5-0 as a dog. Carolina is 0-2 against the spread as a favorite. But I am not going to be on Carolina without McCaffrey. You look at 4 losses. 4 losses are disheartening. If McCaffrey were in there and healthy, I think I would have been on them. But I think I think you're wrong, Prez. I think Brady's a prideful person. I think this entire team was embarrassed. It was their worst loss, in I don't know how long. And I think they bounce back, and I think they can handle this team. I'm indifferent. I didn't have a note on the over. If we really are stretched, I'm not opposed to that play because I think Tampa Bay, who put up 45 at Oakland and 38 against Green Bay and 38 against the Chargers, they haven't done it on the road, but I think they could put up, 28 to 30 to 30 plus, which, puts the over into at least a talkable situation.
I love this coach in Carolina. He's going to be a good one. Ralph, I'm not betting Carolina. I lean towards Carolina. I'm betting the over in this game. Denver going.
Well, I was giving you the over as a consensus if we need it at the end.
I am taking notes, brother. Denver +5 going into Vegas, 50.5. I got nothing. Matt?
I love Denver in this game if we get a couple of their defensive guys back. You guys know alongside Cleveland is Las Vegas, and I know they keep winning, and I know I keep getting wrong, but this is a classic situation. The Raiders are hosting the Chiefs next week, and I think they've got one eye on next week, but I do need some Denver guys getting healthy on that defensive side. There's a chance A.J. Boye could play. There's a chance, I believe, Walker up front could play, so I need to see some practice reports because the Raiders are going to score some points in this game. I like Drew Lock. I like his weapons. I like the 1-2 punch of Lindsey and Gordon if they're healthy. I think Denver is very live here, but once again, I need to wait till Friday to see this injury report. If A.J. Boye plays, I feel more confident. I think the Raiders have one eye towards the Chiefs next week, so if the Broncos and I get a favorable injury report on Friday, I'm taking Denver plus the points here.
Ralph?
Oh, yeah. You need Boye back. I mean, if you're the Broncos, you're allowing 67% completions. Derek Carr with a 16-2 ratio. Yeah, I mean, he may not be extending the field as much as most people want, but I mean, with Ruggs there and with Renfro, and Darren Waller, they're getting enough done. I mean, he's completing 70% of his completions. You're running for 4.4 yards per carry. You talked about what happened to the running game there. Yeah, what's with Josh Jacobs? Everyone thought he was going to lead the league in rushing, and he was gonna be the in all, but yeah, they're rushing for 4.4 yards per carry. I am indifferent in this game. I lean under. And I will point out this to Broncos fans. They put up 31 against the Chargers and 27 against Atlanta. That's the first time since 2016 they've had back-to-back games with 25 or more points. So, hell, they're not going to get 25 or more a third game.
Well, I'd like to give a message to Bronco fans as well. Sorry. Okay. Let's go on to the next game. Buffalo, Arizona. This is going to be a freaking doozy, man. Josh Allen laid the smackdown on Russell Wilson and the Hawks last week. Look, Buffalo had a 3-game stretch where they really were struggling. Not anymore. This team lit it up on offense. And Arizona is always good for 28 to 31 points. Here we go. Biggest over on the board. And I'm going up. This game's getting into the 60s. And I also like Arizona here. I need to see more of Buffalo. Look, I think Buffalo's a playoff team. Obviously, they're going to win this division. It'll be close. Miami is a good team, too. I feel like Arizona and the over is the right play. Matt?
I love Arizona this week. Love Arizona this week because this is your classic NFL. Everybody goes off a 1 week last week. And, the Bills, they beat Seattle at home and they destroyed them. And Josh Allen looked confident for once and everything. And their defense did not. No. The Bills are giving up more than 7 yards per attempt. They're allowing nearly 68% completions by opposing passers. And then you got the Arizona say, Arizona lost to a rookie quarterback at home. And Arizona's terrible. Well, Devin Kennard and Byron Murphy are both getting activated off the COVID list. Byron Murphy, a very good slot corner for Arizona. Kennard is a very good player for that defense as well. I think that you're going to get one of the best efforts from Arizona here, and I think Arizona wins this game outright. I think they cover the spread here. I love the Cardinals.
Dude, we are so on the same page. Zona's on my short list. I just want to give a shout-out to Lauren Williams. Took the Saints last week on the money line. Good for you. Guys, hit that like button, please. 400 of you watching, 77 likes. That means we're missing about 300 likes. Please hit that thumbs up button. Ralph, what do you like in this game?
Prez, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I mean, they scored 16 against Tennessee. They scored 17 against Kansas City. They scored 18 against the Jets. Matt said they should have scored 19 against New England, but they got to 24. And yeah, they scored 44 against Seattle. Let's remember, Seattle is the worst defense in the history of the NFL. Since the NFL Super Bowl has started, no team has allowed more pass yards through 8 games than Seattle. They are horrific. So to put 44 up against Seattle doesn't mean your offense got better. It just means Seattle came up on your schedule. You played them at home. So, that's what I have to be careful of. But that leads into Matt's point. That leads into your point. I think you're finding value here. You just played historically the worst defense through 8 weeks in the NFL, and you only outgained them by 1 yard at home. So I don't think they had this great game. They scored a couple games. They only had a 420 to 419 yard edge.
And 4 turnovers.
I played Arizona last. Well, yeah, you were plus 4 turnovers, and usually that means the team that turns the ball over is going to have a lot more yards because the Buffalo doesn't have the ball because of turnover. So I'm well aware of that. But, it was playing the Seattle defense that got them to 44 points. It wasn't automatically that Buffalo's offense turned into this godsend. You can write down Carolina you can write down the Cardinals as a consensus.
There you go. I'm going to do that as we speak. So far, we've got a bunch of consensus plays.
Well, let's see. One was forced. Matt wasn't part of one of them.
I didn't put that one down, dude. We got deep respect for Matt. Everybody make sure to check out Wager Talk today, both tomorrow and Friday. Tomorrow's show, Dave Koken and Gianni the Greek. Friday, Matt's coming on. We're going to tackle prop bets, and he's so good at that. And also check out his own show with Andy Lang and Andrew McGinnis, Prop It Up, a Friday, I think 3 p.m. Eastern show. All props all the time. Seattle and the Rams, 4 o'clock Eastern time. 3 o'clock somewhere. I guess Mountain West. Is that right? Mountain West.
There is no Mountain West. There's Central Mountain or West.
I don't know. Central time.
I'm Canadian, guys. Give me a break. Seattle, the Rams, -1.5 for the Rams. Total of 55.5. Again, a massive total. I could see this game. Look, I could make an argument for this game going over, especially after listening to Ralph. We all know how historically bad Seattle's defense is. The thing about it is, I don't think McVay wants to play to the over. I think McVay wants to dink and dunk, play some wheel routes, play some slot passes, run the ball, and really just slow every game he can down, especially as we're seeing when teams play Kansas City. Nobody wants Russell Wilson on the field. My gut is telling me over. I can't get there. I like the Rams, but I can't play against Seattle. I hate to pass on this game because it's so damn sexy, but that's where I'm going. Fat pass. Matt?
I agree. I'm passing here because, look, I like the Rams, but I also don't trust Jared Goff. Their defense is going to get a little healthier. Jordan Fuller's coming off the injury report. Ashawn Robinson is going to make his debut with the team up front. And look, the Rams, the good thing is they can't run the ball because teams choose not to run the ball. Did you know that there's only one guy who has had more than 100 rushing yards against Seattle, and it was Alexander Mattison. He's the only player to have 70 yards rushing or more against the Seahawks. Kyler Murray's actually number 2 in the 50s here, so teams are not running against Seattle. I just don't like Jared Goff. On the other side, found this stat on the Seattle blog. Russell Wilson's third down passer rating is only better than Sam Darnold among qualified quarterbacks.
Wow.
It'll be interesting to see when it comes to Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde's status. They hope that they're going to practice this week. Eventually, Seattle's got to get out of it, but can they overcome a terrible defense? They essentially have to score every possession, it feels like. So this was an easy pass for me. Maybe that changes Friday when we get some clearer injury reports and things like that. But right now, I don't have any interest in this game.
Well, we all talk about this crazy good Seattle offense. They're averaging 415 yards per game. The Rams are averaging 396. Only 19 yards fewer per game.
Amazing.
So let's compare the defense. Number 1 in the NFL to the Seahawks. I mean, you know what's keeping me off of it? There is one trend that's keeping me off this game, period. Russell Wilson in 14 games off a straight-up loss has only failed to cover 1. It really is. I mean, he's that good of a player where I'm going to respect him off that loss, even though, no one's played a tougher schedule going to Arizona, hosting a division foe in San Francisco, going to Buffalo on the East Coast, coming back playing your third road game in 4 weeks and back-to-back road games from east to west against a team rested off a bye. I am on the Rams. I like the Rams, but I think Russell Wilson off a straight-up loss is going to keep me off from being on my card.
Guys, let's just stay on this game for a sec. Really interesting futures. To win the NFC Championship, Seattle is plus 425 at Bet365. To give you perspective, Saints are plus 275. Tampa Bay is plus 400. Green Bay is plus 400. Seattle is plus 425. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Sean McVay, and the Rams are plus 1,000. And yet they are minus 1.5 at home, which is somewhat irrelevant now, against a team who is half the odds to win the NFC Championship. Something is way out of whack here, Ralph.
Well, it's a team with 2 losses against a team with 3 losses, and the team with 3 losses, I better defense, yes, but again, you're talking a better defense against a quarterback who's proven. I think, Matt, I think that was an awesome stat you pulled up, that on third down, he really has struggled. So, we've seen him come from behind, but that's why you look at, Seattle doesn't get margin because Russell Wilson's not throwing down to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf unless they're big. You beat Atlanta by 7, beat New England by 5, beat Dallas by 7, beat Miami by 8, beat Minnesota by 1. San Fran's your biggest lead, and that was a 10-point lead, and it was much closer than that. So, but again, you're now in that dog role. So, it's a game that I'm going to say, like I said, I wish I would have played the Rams, but I'm okay leaving them off. And even if the Rams win, saying, there's certain situations I don't want to be put in that spot. And, I say this all the time. It is much better to leave a winner off than to put a loser on, because if you're splitting those two games, you're saving yourself 10% juice.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I think the Rams at plus 1,000 are a decent value bet to go to the Super Bowl. That's my opinion. I think this team is extremely well balanced with just a monster D.
Prez, I'm going to jump out and say one more thing. Remember now, you may think with 3 losses they're out of it, but with the extended playoffs, all you got to do is be the better team come playoff time and the healthier team coming in. So while you look at the injury report, if you want to play a future, it's not who's injured now, it's who's injured for the season and who's just injured for a period of weeks that they'll be back.
I think the Rams have the look of a team that's going to go to Philadelphia and lose in the playoffs anyway.
Oh,
I just think that
so Philadelphia's going to have a home field advantage in the playoffs now, are they, Matthew? Should we rewind? They're not even going to beat the Giants.
Wait a second. So hold on. Time out. What did I say? No. See, listen. Time out. I said that the Eagles play down to their competition. The Eagles play up to their good teams. You cited the Ravens. You cited the Steelers.
Matt.
Jared Goff is garbage. So I think that they have the look of a team that's going to lose a game on the road to a NFC East team. How about that? Just in case it's Washington or the Giants.
Jared Goff, the Trent Dilfer of 2020, according to Matt. Okay. San Francisco. Guys, thank you for all those likes when I asked. You delivered. Appreciated. Do it again. San Fran. I don't know if I've ever seen a team with so many injuries at so many key positions in my betting life as San Fran. They're going into New Orleans, -9 for New Orleans, 49 on tap. Man, I want to play San Fran so bad. I can't. I'm passing on this game, Matt. What do you like?
I can't either, because this screams letdown for the Saints. Return home, get a 49ers team that's just not very good. There are some things. So Kendall Bourne is back on the COVID list. He was their number 2 receiver. They're hoping to get Deebo Samuel back. They're hoping to get Richard Sherman back. They've already ruled out Raheem Mostert. So let me tell you, don't take any sort of props involving the 49ers running backs. Last week, every prop was shaded towards JaMychal Hasty, and it was a Jerick McKinnon day. Tevin Coleman could be back. So just don't do it. I mean, if the 49ers were even a shade healthier, I would love to take the 49ers because this screams letdown here, but I can't. On the road, it's just, no, I can't. I mean, the Saints, you don't even have a quarterback or an offense that screams backdoor. You just don't. There's not enough guys like, who's going to go and get you that big touchdown catch? Trent Taylor? Like, come on now. I mean, so I'm with you. I would love to take the 49ers, but the backdoor is less open here than it would be for a Joe Burrow game.
6 ones and a K. There's another team that you can throw into a 10-point teaser. Green Bay, New Orleans, and we just got to find you one more. Ralph, what do you like?
I am going to just ditto it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not playing the Saints off that Tampa Bay game. I am not playing the Giants. The 49ers, excuse me. And then I wasn't thinking Major League Baseball at all, guys. I just want you to know that. The San Fran, Prez, they were down 10 starters. If you look at who they wanted to start the opening season, they were down 10 starters. So you're missing half of your starting lineup. I am going to jump back one game, guys, because I was on the database looking up. When you have an NFL total of 56 or higher, going back to that Cardinals-Bills games, since 2015, there have only been 23 of them. They have gone 14 overs, 8 unders, and a push, so 63.6% to the over, even with that incredibly high total. And since 2015, the highest total we've had was the Rams and the Chiefs. That was that
awesome football game.
Mexico game, 54-51. That total was 63.5, and it flew over.
Yeah. Ralph Michaels, everybody. Matt Joseph. You can get Matt at sportsmemo.com. Ralph at Wager Talk. Same with me. And don't sleep on my 5% play. Thursday night football. Make sure to get down on that. You can get it at wagertalk.com. Everything in my gut is telling me New England is the play here. And then you sit and you think, man, they almost lost to the Jets, for Christ's sake. +7 at home. Ralph, in your database, 20 years, 16, 18 years, when was the last time New England was plus a touchdown at home. They're hosting Baltimore. 43.5 is the total. I am not a buyer on this Baltimore team. Flat out, I think they're overrated. I feel like this is going to be a close game. I'm not going to make this bet, but my gut is telling me the Pats. Matt?
I mean, I hate agreeing with you again, but the key for something like this is, once again, we use the Joe Burrow fact is the back door open if they're down 14-13? And the Patriots are last in the NFL with just 3 touchdown passes.
It's insane.
And the other stat here is they've turned the ball over on 21.4% of their drives. And Cam Newton's got a stiff neck. And it's just I can't. So the Patriots get the ball. They're down 14, and there's about 2 minutes. I don't see Cam Newton scoring there. I like Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is going to be on my prop radar. I'm kicking myself for not taking the over against the Jets. I think, I know Marlon Humphrey's coming back, but there's no one else from the throw to. Calais Campbell's a big injury for the Ravens defensively. I can't see it. To Prez, I agree with you that I would love to take the Patriots, but the back door is just not as open with Cam Newton.
And guys, don't forget the following. I mean, I know the Pats are 3-5. They were a bad play call away from beating Seattle in Seattle. They were a Cam fumble away from beating Buffalo in Buffalo. Win those 2 games, 5-3, sitting at the top of the division. I know the Pats stink against the run. I get it. I know Baltimore is all about the run. I just, intuitively, it's the Pats or nothing. Ralph?
All right, into the database. It would have been Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Terry Holt, and Ricky Prohl.
Torrey Holt, yeah. Ricky Prohl.
It would have been 2001. The Patriots were an 8-point home dog to the Rams. And from 1990, so the last 32 years, they've been a 7+ point home dog. They're 7-2 their last 9. But again, those were all the only one since 2000 happened in 2001 against the greatest show on turf. So it's been a little while since they've been a 7-point home dog. I actually like the under here. I think the Patriots, boom, we know they want to run the ball. They ran the ball 41 times against the Jets. They ran the ball 34 times against Buffalo with 25 passes. We know Baltimore wants to run the ball. Here's the stat for Baltimore. Baltimore is the first team in NFL history to score 20 or more points in 31 straight games. So, that shows consistency. That doesn't scare me off the over. I lean under here because Pittsburgh's off that tough situation of Pittsburgh and Indy, and they have Tennessee and Pittsburgh coming back on deck. I say let's get out of this. Let's get a win. We saw Lamar Jackson struggle in the first half last week. He got better in the second half. So all I think you want here is, back-to-back road games. You just want to get a W and be ready for Tennessee next week to make sure you keep your edge for whatever seeding it is moving forward.
Awesome stuff, Ralph Michaels. You too, Matt. Love having the two of you guys on the NFL Presidential Address. The show is so good, so informative, so entertaining, and we really appreciate all of you guys in the chat room. 450 of you, 121 likes. What happened to the other 300, guys? Let's go. We need those thumbs up. Helps our YouTube ranking. It's all we ask. Let's talk Monday. The Chargers, Miami. If you guys listen to Wager Talk today, Kevin Browdus was on. He is 75% in NFL since joining us on a 12-4 run, and he likes the Chargers on the money line. I don't see it at all here. I think Miami at -2.5. -2 is the bet. I am an absolute fanatic over Hebert. I think this guy is for real. His footwork's incredible. His back-leaning Aaron Rodgers 50-yard pass is great. Keenan Allen's having a good season. Their defense is good. But with that said, this team has got nothing to play for. They're the hard luck Chargers. And Miami, the feeling in that room must be unbelievable. I mean, come on. Fitz gets them out to a nice record. Then they put Tua in. He wins 2 in a row. I know the defense did not do well against Kyler Murray last week. Really couldn't contain him. They're not going to have as much trouble containing Herbert. Although he's a running quarterback, he's not Kyler Murray. Miami's on my short list, Matt. I'm not with Kevin. I like Miami a lot here. What do you think?
So last week I said I like the Chargers, and of course they lost the way they did. And then 2 weeks ago I liked the Chargers, and they lost the way they did. And I'm a glutton for punishment. I think the only way I would go here is the Chargers. I'm probably not going to play it. I don't like the fact that they've already ruled out Chris Harris for this game. He's their best cornerback. Their defense is ravaged by injuries, the Chargers. But once again, I got to go back to what I said last week. With a rookie quarterback who's playing for Rookie of the Year, this team's not going to give up. And if you had Phillip Rivers there, yeah, I would be all over the Dolphins because a veteran will have packed up and ready for this offseason. But Herbert's not going to let him do that. And by the way, the Dolphins are 4th in total points allowed, but they're 22nd in total yards allowed. They've allowed over 400 yards in 4 of their first 8 games. Eventually, you can bend, but not break. But eventually, you are going to break. And I think the Chargers could be that team that makes them break. I think I might actually throw the Chargers in my teaser. I think that if you tease this thing up and give the Chargers that extra cushion there, you get that one score that they seemingly are always playing with. And you've got a guy in Herbert who's going to keep playing. You know he's not going to give up. You know he's not going to get frustrated. So to me, I'm probably going to throw the Chargers in my teaser this week.
Okay, guys. I just wanted to quickly mention, Lauren, you mentioned as a comment in one of our posts, you were talking about how much you don't like Lynn as a coach. I agree. This guy is the Mike McCarthy of the AFC. He's a disaster. I agree with you 100% on that. And Matt, a question for you. Burrow or Herbert for Rookie of the Year?
I think it's Herbert probably. I do. I think Herbert slight lean. I mean, there's still plenty of time for either of them.
What about the doctor who punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung? Shouldn't he get an award?
By the way, I hate to say it, but the Chargers would have a better record if Tyrod was in there. No, I'm just kidding. I can't even say that with a straight face. No, but yeah, you're probably right. He got that. He got Herbert in there.
Yeah, we'll find out that it's his great uncle on his mother's side. Ralph, what do you like in this game?
I'm just looking up that Matt had made a statement.
But he makes a lot.
And it was, the Chargers in one possession games, then maybe he wants to tease it up. Well, I will say this. Chargers have had 6 losses by 7 points or less. Chargers are 3-15 in one possession games. But Chargers are 7-1 if you tease them this year, just a 6-point teaser. And I'm going back to last year.
Same.
They are 16-3 their last 19 games. If you just blindly tease the Chargers, I may be off one there. I'm just trying to look in the database, counting them real quick. But you said it, Matt. They play well enough to keep it close. They don't play well enough to win the game straight up. I will say this about Miami's defense, and I think if you take every defense and you look at what their stats are, I think Miami's defense is this much better than what their stats are. And why do I say that? Because I like looking at how much a team allows in losses, not in wins. They had that huge lead against the Rams because of two defensive and a special teams touchdown. They allowed 471 yards, but they had the lead. They were playing that prevent defense. They didn't lose the game. Last week, they had the lead again after that early touchdown. What did they do? They played the prevent defense. They allowed 442 yards. So completely agree. 910 yards allowed the last 2 weeks is the worst in the NFL. But if you watch them and in the situation they played, they are not the worst defense, nowhere near the worst defense on paper. So one stat I like looking at is I look at what a team gains on offense, in what the team allows on defense in the wins, not the losses. With that said, I lean over,
Yeah, me too.
but I have a real problem playing with an over because the over is so overvalued. Miami put up 145 yards, 312 yards, 21 points the last 2 games with defensive and specialty touchdowns. If they don't get a defense or specialty touchdowns and the game's close, you're putting pressure on Tua, and I don't want part of 2 rookie quarterbacks with a pressure on a guy playing from behind. So pass for me.
With all that said, 48 is the new 41, so it's not even that high anymore. Monday Night Football, Minnesota, Chicago. 44 is the total, minus 2.5 for Minnie. I like Minnie. I think Minnie is a serious buy team right now. This team's going to go on a run. You all know my opinion about Chicago. I don't hold back. Terribly coached, terrible offense, terrible everything. Nick Foles is like, you can finish that sentence, Matt.
No. My answer is a lot different than your answer, so you can finish it.
Nick Foles. Yeah, he had a good game in the Super Bowl. He did. I'll give you that, Matt. But he couldn't even make Jacksonville's starting lineup. What more do you need to say than that? Minnie is the play. Go ahead, Matt. Oh, was I wrong? He did make.
I can't believe you're using Jacksonville, one of the worst franchises in all sports, as some sort of.
Couldn't even make their lineup.
Exactly. They put Gardner Minshew in there, and how did he look? He lost his job to what? I don't even know. A 7th rounder, Jake Luton.
Nick Foles couldn't even make their lineup. Matt, what do you like in this game? We got to get the show done. I got to go work out, Matt.
You can't just assault my guy and then be like, move
on.
I'm
the host.
I know you're.
I need to work out, Matt. Come on.
I know. So you could do the Carls while you're sitting here. I mean, it's Monday Night Football. It's Kirk Cousins. And I looked it up. I actually did look this up because I'm inspired by Ralph to look things up. Kirk Cousins is 0-9 in 9 Monday Night Football games in his career. Now, he does have a good completion percentage, 64%, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Dalvin Cook is the hottest player on earth when it comes to fantasy and everything like that. And, of course, he's pretty – but the Bears just did really well against Derrick Henry. The Vikings corners are terrible. They just put another guy on injured reserve. So you essentially have you, me, and Ralph in the secondary. The other key here, and this is small, but it's something, the Vikings just put their long snapper on the COVID list, and there's not exactly a ton of long snappers floating around sitting out there. So that's something to consider here. And look, I think Nick Foles is a guy who wins this type of game. I know the Bears don't have a good offense here. So to me, I can't play Kirk Cousins in prime time. I just can't, especially when he's backed by a bad defense and when he's got all these other issues. So to me, it's Bears or pass. I'll probably end up passing, play some props, but I can't bet on Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football.
Okay, Matt. Thank you. Ralph?
I agree with Matt. I cannot play. It's not because of Kirk Cousins. It's because of Dalvin Cook the last 2 weeks, the world's greatest running back. I mean, if you watch some of that Minnesota game, it sounded like, he was Jim Brown. Well, here's the stat. In the last 2 games since their bye, Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota Vikings have rushed for 240 yards per game and have rushed for 6.6 yards per carry. Even Jake Luton, it can look good if you are running for 240 yards per game and 6.6 yards per carry. The Bears are only allowing 3.5 yards per carry. They just went to Tennessee with Derrick Henry, held that team to 3.0 yards per carry. I like the under. I don't think Minnesota can run on him. I think that keeps Cousins out of exactly what he's done the last 2 weeks. We're talking Chicago. There was 20-mile-an-hour winds in Green Bay and Cleveland on Sunday. I didn't go ahead and look at what it is Monday. But if you had another 20-mile-an-hour winds to Kirk Cousins and they doesn't have Dalvin Cook rushing, I think this is another game where, the Bears have scored 17 or less average 17 points their last 3 games. Full 6 starts have never topped 23 points under for me.
I would have thought he was hitting like 30 based on Matt's assessment. Guys, really quick, I just want to say one of the people in here wrote Prez has a problem with Matt. For the record, the NFL Presidential Address is in year 5. It is the first show we ever did on Wager Talk. I get to pick who comes on the show. It's my namesake. I pick Ralph because he's a god. I pick Matt because he's a genius. So don't think I don't like Matt. These guys make this show way better than I do. That's for damn sure. And also Ralph. Matt, listen to this, dude. Ralph Michaels today, Wednesday. Wager Talk today, the Presidential Address, and Bet on It. The 3 biggest shows that we have on our channel, Ralph was on all of them today. Wow, dude. That is so impressive, Ralph. Okay. Teasers. I got nothing teaser-wise. I don't think I'm going to be releasing one this week, so I'm not going to make one up. Matt, you got?
I'm going to have the Chargers on there, and if Denver has a really good injury report, I'm throwing Denver on there too.
And Ralph Michaels?
I am looking real quick. I forgot to do the teaser report. I don't want to come up with one quick that is not potentially to be a play. So sorry, guys.
There you go. And as far as the consensus plays, we got Cleveland over, Green Bay over, Nick Foles is terrible, Tampa Bay over, and Arizona. We can take the Nick Foles is terrible out of there because there's no actual official bet. I'm good with going with all 4. Matt?
Sure, it's your show. You've told us it's your title on there.
It's not my show. It's our show now. But fair enough. Well said. And I'm glad you're getting a nice laugh out of it. Ralph?
All 4 it is.
Okay. Guys, thank you all so much for watching the NFL Presidential Address. We have a blast doing the show. I learned so much from both of these guys. Vets, again, please email our customer service. We got $50 of free Wager Talk bucks waiting for you. We love you all. We appreciate your service. And Prez played Judas Priest for me. I could do that, except we got in trouble last time we were playing music on the show. We got banned by YouTube for a week. Ralph, Matt, thank you both so much. You're incredible. Ralph, I'll see you tomorrow on Wager Talk Today. Matt, Friday on Wager Talk Today. Everyone else, make sure to watch Wager Talk Today, especially around the 40-minute mark. You will laugh.